No one wants to be a squeaky wheel, but you don't want to be left behind by your doctor either. And we doctors know this so well that we even have a saying for it. Nice patients come out last. After working with over 10,000 patients in the most vulnerable moments of their lives, like here in surgery, I'm going to share with you the biggest mistakes I've seen patients make so that you don't have to. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Anthony Coffey, a Stanford and Harvard trained anesthesiologist and integrative medicine specialist. And here's what you need to know. Patients who feel overwhelmed, insecure, or even afraid are at risk of ignoring their gut instincts. And that is the biggest mistake you can make when it comes to your health. But I see it every day in my patients in the operating room and in my office. Have you ever had a gut instinct, not acted on it, and then later regretted not acting on it? I've never had a patient not experience that before. And when it comes to your health, these gut instincts can be life-saving. I've had patients on the operating room table speak up even after the anesthesia had gone in to correct a mistake that was brought up in the safety pause, like with regards to their allergies that were mistakenly written in their chart. Had they received those medications that they had been allergic to, it could have been life-threatening while having surgery. I once had a patient on the table who corrected the surgery team about what side they were doing the procedure on. Imagine if they had just snoozed and imagined that everything would be just fine. I'm not saying that you should distrust your surgery team, but I am saying that you should feel the courage to speak up if you have even a small gut instinct, even if you're about to go under anesthesia, about something not being right in the environment. I've had some patients admit to me just before they fall asleep on this table that they've used certain drugs before, and they were too afraid to tell anyone before they ever walked in the operating room. And that's really important for us to know because some drugs like methamphetamines, cocaine, or cannabis can heavily impact how the anesthesia interacts with your brain. And I'm happy that they trusted their gut to speak up in those final moments before falling asleep. I once had a patient who had eaten a bagel with cream cheese just a couple hours before their surgery, and they thought it would be perfectly okay. But in the last minute, they told me, "Hey doctor, I had a bad feeling. I don't think I should have eaten that bagel with cream cheese." They were too ashamed to bring it up earlier, but I'm so happy that once again they trusted their instinct to speak up and say what was on their mind, because that could have saved their life, because had that cream cheese been in their stomach and they vomited it up under anesthesia, it could have been life-threatening. Another really intense experience was in my office with a patient receiving IV ketamine therapy and a stellate ganglion block. And right before we started their IV ketamine, they told me something they had never told anyone else before about a sexual trauma that had happened years ago. I am so grateful that they told me about this because that completely influenced my protocol that I had designed for them. And had they not told me, they would have run the risk of potentially having a negative experience because I didn't know about that sensitive event that happened in the past, but they thought it was important to bring it up and they acted on it. And I'm so grateful that they did so. Another time, and maybe the most extreme example in my practice, was with a patient that was so severely depressed, but so elegant and well put together that they fooled me. I thought that their depression was modest, and I was about to walk out the door, and this patient had the courage to grab my arm and say, "Doctor, I'm not feeling well. Don't look at this. I'm really not well inside." That threw me for a spin. But it fundamentally changed the protocol that I had for her, and I believe it helped her get the care that she deserved to help her heal faster and more effectively. Doctors should not have an ego when it comes to caring for patients. So you can see 3 reasons here why some patients don't get the care that they deserve. Number 1 is around fear of being judged, fear of maybe being called annoying. Number 2 is having been gaslit. And number 3 is there being some trauma, often medical trauma in the past. Have you experienced any of these 3 before? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you're learning something new, please share with your loved ones. And if it feels right to you, please hit that like button to let me do this for you more often. Here's what you need to know about each of these three. Number one is fear. Fear leads us to being fake nice. Being professional and respectful is the key to building trust. And if there is no trust, there's virtually no healing in a relationship. Fear of judgment, letting your doctor down, or even being annoying can lead to fake niceness. I see it all the time in my patients when we're talking about them taking their medications on time or following their diet, exercising, meditating, or whatever it may be. My tip-off is if the patient goes into smile and nod mode. Like they just smile and nod at whatever I'm saying, even if it doesn't actually match what the conversation is about. I see this really commonly in patients who are hard of hearing or don't speak English well. And incidentally, and it's not by accident that those two patient populations are more likely to be gaslit. A good doctor should recognize that and slow down to make sure that the patient is understanding what is going on. And if you're the patient, you need to trust your instinct. If you feel that you're not understanding something, and feel comfortable respectfully interrupting your doctor. The more empowered you feel, the more attuned you are with your gut instincts. Number two is medical gaslighting. I recently spoke with Tamron Hall about this because it is so pervasive in medicine. When our sanity is questioned, like when we are gaslit, we're more likely to ignore our gut instincts. And like you've seen, when we don't trust our gut instincts, we're less likely to speak up for ourselves and advocate for ourselves and get the care that we deserve. That's why we need to level the playing field with our doctors and with others in places of authority to minimize the power differential that underlies most gaslighting. Things like blowing off your symptoms, calling everything in your head, interrupting you constantly, or downplaying or outright ignoring your concerns are all some examples of gaslighting. Watch my video linked below for the full scoop on how to prevent yourself from being gaslit in medical settings. But in short, you're going to want to take notes on paper. Be dressed in your normal clothes and not your gown. Be at eye level with your doctor and bring a friend or family member with you. The less the power differential, the more you'll be able to act on your instincts and better get the care that you deserve. Number three is medical trauma. It's very real and can have very real consequences. When patients have been hurt in the past after placing their trust in someone, it's no surprise that they're less likely to put their trust in others. It may be subconscious, but some patients will develop a mistrust of authority. Or worse, it can lead to a mistrust of their own instincts, if they instinctually trusted someone who turned out to hurt them. This is so sad but very real, and I've seen it in many of my patients. If this has happened to you, you should reach out to a mental health professional to help you overcome this potentially subconscious self-gaslighting, because it can cause us to question our gut instincts and doubt ourselves. There are more than 3 reasons for why people lose touch with their instincts, but these are the most common I see in my patients. It's also crucial to remember that not all instincts are accurate, but when we've been hurt in the past or traumatized in the past, we lose our ability to act on well-placed instincts. Whether that's with your doctor or with your boss or anywhere else, if we don't speak up for ourselves and advocate for ourselves, we're more likely to get hurt. It's not about being the squeaky wheel. It's about having respect for yourself because you are the expert of your body. And when you approach your doctor with that mindset, you're more likely to get the care that you deserve. If you learned something new, please hit that like button and share what you've learned with others. Subscribe to keep up with all my videos. And remember, you have more power over your health than you've probably ever been told.